Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with your Hollywoke hot take. Um, Before we get into this one, and this is the big one, I didn't have visuals for the other two. Uh, the woke in the movie industry, in the TV industry, the SJWs seem to be in trouble. They seem to be in big trouble because the firings have started, the purges have begun, people are losing money, and their first thought is when they fire people, who's not making us money? So recently we had the big purge over at DC Comics, about 800 people gone. DC's restructuring everything. They're probably going to do more sort of graphic novels. They're probably going to get completely out of floppy books. And I can't blame them. The floppy books have been a disaster. They're too expensive. They haven't really invested the kind of marketing push, I feel, that would make them viable. They could make them viable again if they wanted to. But what they would need to do, they'd probably end up eliminating them anyway and combining them. But they needed to do that a long time ago. Like, they could have done a bold maneuver, say, I don't know, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it would have been 2010. They could have came out and said, you know what, we're going to make all our comics, we're going to do like a comic every week, but it's going to be 100 pages and it's going to have 5 issues in it and it's going to cost $5. That to me would be an amazing price point, and it would have shocked the industry, and people would be buying, so many of them. The opposite would have been to go down to $1, which unfortunately isn't viable anymore. $1 cover price just isn't enough um, to make it make sense for in terms of shipping and all that. Although they could get down to that price point, you have to understand that for the most part, the major two comic book companies keep the presses rolling 24/7 to keep their numbers down. And if they pay more than a nickel to print a floppy comic book, they paid too much. So really, really, they print in such volume. It's pennies an issue for them. So you figure like 4 cents an issue. Say a $4 comic, they're selling it to you for $4, but they're selling it to the store for probably close to $2, and they're selling it to the distributor for $1. So they're making about 90 cents a book, something like that, maybe 85. And that's not too bad a price point for them. Certainly they're not putting out a lot of money in terms of the printing, but they have the other costs, the artist and the writer and their offices and all that stuff. But they're done. And part of what happened was they went woke too. Now they didn't go as hard into the wokeness as Disney did and Marvel, but they definitely went into it. And certainly the TV division is super woke. Batwoman, anybody? They're still woke. So I don't know if firing the 800 employees is going to do much in terms of the wokeness, because a lot of what they're doing is they're aiming their comics, I think, towards libraries and the scholastic kind of stuff, which means they're probably going to even be more woke, because the people who run that stuff, they're all SJWs. They're all very, very left, and they are ensconced in their positions, and they're not likely to leave. People who teach your kids, they're extremely left-leaning in their politics. They should keep their politics to themselves and just teach children, but they don't. They just don't. They slip it in because they think they're so wonderful and self-righteous that your kids, they shouldn't listen to you. They should listen to them because they know better. The other thing that's happening is over at Cartoon Network, which is, I believe, owned by Warner Brothers still, although AT&T owns both of them, I think. There are shakeups over the Cartoon Network, and that's another pretty big money making operation for them. They certainly can spin off a lot of cool stuff, But, they hadn't gotten as woke, I don't think, as the Cartoon Network, because they're still very weird, depending on, the Steven Universe stuff was pretty woke, and I think they had another project, but there's shakeups going on now. We don't know for sure if that is directly an SJW thing, if they're making the move to purge the SJWs from their ranks, but I think it is, and the reason I think it is because what Disney is doing. And see, Disney kind of sets the standard, and the rumor over at Disney, and this is still just a rumor, but usually these things come out to be true from between Bounding in the Comics and Dictor von Doomcock, if you've never seen his stuff. They're pretty reliable sources for these guys. So there's a priority at Disney to kick out the SJWs. And I told you they would get rid of these people. And they're getting rid of them big. And the reason I think they're also doing it Warner Brothers is because Warner Brothers tends to do it second. They tend to do everything. It's just like DC always doing what Marvel's doing, but like later. DC's the last to react in the world of comics. Like Marvel does something, and then DC like a week later goes, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do that too. That sounds awesome." So I think this is great news for Disney. They seem to be ahead of the curve and understand that they can't operate. I gotta put you down, Little Joan. You're too heavy. They can't operate like this forever. They're losing money, and now money is a bigger issue for them. Prior to the virus, they could lose a ton of money in a lot of their divisions. In fact, corporations that big, they like to have a few divisions that lose money. They make up for it in other stuff. Like in the world of comics and publishing, they lose money, but they make up for it because that's sort of like developing material for their movie division, right? So they just use that as a tax write-off. It's all a tax write-off when you combine everything and have to pay your taxes. They're a business. But now it looks like between the parks being closed and nobody, people don't want to go to the parks as much, and people not going to the movies at all, really. I mean, I guess few places maybe have movie theaters open at this point. Who the hell knows? I don't even know. New Jersey, we're locked down. We're all living caves. I know. It's very upsetting, Joan. So they need to make money. They're a business. Well, what the hell did you expect to have happen? So I don't feel bad for any of the employees who are going to lose their jobs, because these people were ideologically driven for so long. They were willing to destroy, other artists and other people who work in the business and ruin their reputations. I know, Joan. I know. It's terrible. It's terrible. I gotta hold you here. I'll hold you in this. How's that? Is that better? Okay, I'll pat you. I don't have any sympathy for these people because they are who they are. They wanted to play these games and be super woke and wonderful, and it's just a bunch of virtue signaling nonsense. It has nothing to do with making comics or making a good product. It has everything to do with, I'm better than you, and I'm gonna prove it, and you should feel bad, and you should bow down to me, and you should believe what I believe. It's not a dialogue. It's bullying is what it is, and it's high time it stopped. People are sick of it, and this culture of doing all this wonderfully woke stuff that nobody wants to see is killing their brand. The Disney brand, and it may not save them. It may be too late. They're talking a good game about, for instance, reining in someone like Brie Larson, I guess, is what's the rumor is, that they're going to rein in someone even like Brie Larson and say, oh, you can't talk to the fans that way anymore. Everybody's got to be positive towards the fans and say nice things about them. I mean, that sounds great. Will they listen? Is this for real? Is this rumor even real? Or is this something that they're going to kind of try and sort of halfway roll out, and then, when it doesn't immediately work, they'll pull back? Because a lot of times they do that too. But it sounds to me like they're finally sick of losing money. And it may be too late. I mean, People are now used to not going to the movies. Now it's easy to go right back into it, but uh, you can watch movies at home, right? So they may have to go to an all download model of some kind, and this could be the end of movie theaters. Movie theaters will be this quaint thing that you used to do. Every once in a while you do it because they got these. They'll have these high end movie theaters where you go and you have dinner and have a drink, and then you watch a classic movie or something. Not a new movie. It won't be like going to the movies will be a thing anymore. Who knows? But a lot of this hinges on the election, and so I think these businesses have another 2 months of pure hell trying to figure out what they're doing. Maybe that this time by next year the whole industry will come back, and it may be that they'll kind of back off the woke stuff, but then double down on it when it doesn't immediately work. Well, who knows? And this could all could all be a rumor. I hope it's true. I think it's true. I think they're at least going to stop a lot of the really bad behavior. But they've got so much in the pipeline now. It may be another 6 months to a year before all the woke projects they started get canceled, and all the quote unquote real stuff starts bubbling to the surface, and you start seeing real movies again that aren't ideologically driven or aren't touted as, oh, look at this diverse cast, diversity, inclusion, oh, it's wonderful. It'll be story driven stuff. And one of those things may be a total redo on Star Wars, the last three movies. I mean, that's how bad they were received, I think. So maybe that'll shake people back and say, well, you know what? I'll give this another chance. I kind of doubt it. I mean, once bitten, twice shy, as they say. I think hopefully something new will surface that people will go, oh, this is cool. I want to watch that. I mean, that's what we want to see. Right, Joan? Right, Joan? You want to see that? Yes, you do. All right. That's it for this evening. We'll see you tomorrow. And say goodbye, Joan. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Yeah. Look into the camera. Good girl.